What's up, YouTube? Cap over here, and welcome to this is the first official episode of not anymore preseason or drafts. It is the first episode of the RBL season, and I'm joined here with my co-host. That's right, finally got it right. Co-host Semeraro 22.
Right. What is up, everybody? This is Semeraro 22. This is not Semeraro Gaming, but we are here with some intense Week 1 action.
Oh man, it was an exciting week, but First, we should get this out of the way. It is the Buttville Super Butterfreeze.
Your guys' match did not happen yet. There was some communication, not issues, lack of towards the end, but they're working on it. They have until I think after week 4. There's that bye week where we're making up games, so they have till then to do it. And then we'll discuss stuff. But we still have 5 other matches to run down. And now I'm going to be honest, this week I've not had time to watch all of these, so my analysis may be meh for some of them, but I do have some sheets pulled up here, stats pulled up, so I will do my best.
Yeah, so the very first battle we're going to go over is the Markarth Magikarps versus the San Francisco Draftpicks. Coaches of Dragonite and your boy, the Jewish Giraffe. So,
you said, it was kind of like there wasn't a lot of overthinking or like trying to outsmart. They kind of just were both throwing their big shots at each other.
Yeah, it was a pretty cut and dry battle. The San Francisco Draftpicks had a hard hitting team, and Azumarill just came in and did its job, what it was supposed to do. I guess the only really big play is the Chandler trying to outspeed the Mega Aerodactyl.
I don't understand why you don't consider just switching into Cobolion there, because there's not much an Aerodactyl can do I mean, obviously there's some depending on the set, but if you're running a defensive Cobolion, I think you're good to just switch in and then Ironhead, because Aerodactyl's frail as hell and Ironhead's super effective.
Yeah, it was a weird play, because right after he just sent out the Cobolion and it took down the Mega Aerodactyl, but at that point Mega Aerodactyl did his damage, the Chandelure was gone, and
I think that was just a lack of knowing, or maybe even looking up, because you can look up while you battle. You can pull up calcs and stuff, but he probably if his Chandelure wasn't scarfed, he should have known that was getting outsped. Aerodactyl's ridiculously fast.
Yeah,
it's faster than Crobat. So, it should just be known when you play Aerodactyl. Unless you're scarfed, don't try and outspeed it. So that cost him the match. I can't remember. I watched this match. I don't remember exactly the situation, but he probably could have at least pulled it to a 1-0, even won it, if he had preserved the Chandelure.
Yeah. So it's pretty cut and dry. However, I'm looking forward to the next battle between these two, because they are going to be looking at each other. And it seemed like the Markarth Magikarps finally got a taste of the league, just because it is a new format for himself.
He went against the best team and did well. The best team from last season, regular season wise. I mean, obviously Bavaria Beedrills won the championship, so he did a good job to keep it at 2-0. I watched the beginning, and he did really well with Registeel. I think he stuck with him too long, though. He just didn't try and preserve him. He kind of just sat in there with Registeel and caused as much trouble as he could, and then let it go. He didn't try to preserve Registeel, which could have helped late game as well, because that's a mon that Aerodactyl can't touch, just with its bulk, so that could have helped late game too. But I mean, he did really well.
Yeah, keeping at a low score is really nice, because later on the season it might come down to score differential, and just having a 2-0 loss, it's not bad. It's not like a 3-0, 4-0, 5-0. A 2-0 is a respectable score, and going against the best team the best team with the best record last season, that's pretty good, considering that he's a newcomer, and the Jewish Giraffe prepares for a lot of things. and he's one of the most prepared battlers that I've seen in this league. So regardless, I think it was a good battle by the Markar's Magikarps. There we go. I got to think about it whenever I say it.
The second battle, and we're kind of going in order of like closeness almost, or intensity, I should say, of the matches, which we kind of should have done this one first then, because that other one was definitely closer and more intense. But the next match would be the champions making their debut as champions, the Bavarian Beedrills, taking on new league member Marshall Thundering Bouffalons, coached by Adam Espion. Beedrills obviously coached by Alex Louis, and the Bavarian Beedrills walk away with the 5-0. And that scoreline's a little deceptive, but it was still a pretty dominant win.
Yeah, it was a very, very long battle, and I think it was like 51 turns, correct?
There was a lot of Suicune like melodic stall. Basically, the Bouffalons lost the battle themselves. And it sucks to say that, but first off, it was basically a 4-0. Metagross was a switch in from dying. It would have died to rocks, but he sacked. He didn't sack. He lost his Kyurem B, which was his win condition from the get-go. There was nothing on Bavarian Beedrill's team that could stop Kyurem. It was scarfed, so nothing could have touched Kyurem, but he locked himself into Outrage, and that allowed Metagross to get a power-up punch and then a Meteor Mash, I believe, off. And it was a 3-turn Outrage, so he couldn't switch out Kyurem, and he lost Kyurem, and at that point, he only had one answer for Melodic, and Melodic, I feel like, is the reason he lost, because he had no answer for it. He had answers for everything else, but he had to work his whole team around, get rid of Melodic, and he just couldn't. And so basically, Gallade was his only other Mon that could touch Melodic, and then he lost Gallade trying to take out Lando. So he did not recognize his win condition well at the beginning, but he did do a good job after he lost those to try and make it as close as possible. But I mean, he's playing against Alex Louis. He won the championship, so it's going to be hard to do.
I think this was a very dominant win by the Bavarian Beedrills. A lot of people, like, if you look at the battle, it's a stall battle, but the thing that makes this like a well-planned stall battle is because the Milotic had Dragon Tail. So Suicune could not set up Calm Minds, and I think Alex Louis just absolutely planned to the perfection. I felt like the Marshall Thundering Bouffalons might have been scared of the Mega Beedrill potentially coming out.
They definitely planned for it, but he wasn't like concerned really about it. Like I said, he had like his plans. The team he faced, that Bavarian Beedrills brought, was pretty much what he guessed. The only thing I think was Metagross that he didn't like super plan for, but he had two answers on his team for Metagross. But it was just like I said, I feel like Beedrill still would have won no matter what. But I feel like the match would have been a lot closer had he not lost both his checks to Melodic, such a bulky Mon, in the manner that he did in that soon. So I would say if he didn't lose both those Mons that relatively quickly in a stall match, like by turn 20, I think he lost both of them. And they were his first two Mons gone. I think it would have been like a 2-0 to the Beedrills, but it was definitely a very impressive, dominant win by the Beedrills.
Yeah, the really surprising thing was that it lasted that long, and that Alex Louis managed to keep his team somewhat relatively healthy and keep the Milotic really, really healthy. He obviously knew that Milotic was his win condition, and I think at some point it was the Marshall Thundering Bouffalons that they were their own worst enemy. Alex Louis just played the way he knew he had to play.
And he made the right plays and let the Bouffalons mistakes, basically, or misplays. I'm not going to say mistakes because any play can turn around, but their misplays put him in a more advantageous position, because Melodic was 100% his win condition, because Suicune could even take down that Zapdos that he had in the back with Calm Minds. Scrafty I don't think could really touch Suicune. Who else was left? Talonflame couldn't. And Metagross, it would be a while, but Metagross couldn't touch Suicune either. So that Melodic was definitely his win condition. He played it beautifully, keeping it alive.
And then he just brought in the Scrafty, and Scrafty does what it does
had
best.
Moxie, right?
Continuing on from season 1. Yeah. Dragon Dance and Moxie, and just took things down one by one.
Definitely.
And it's good. It's going to be hard because this is a division matchup too. And it's going to be a tough conference because they are the blue conference,
blue division.
correct? And the blue division in the Kanto conference. So losing 5-0 right away in the start, that's tough. That's a rough way to begin the league. And he's going to have some catching up to do, just because if you're going to, you just need to do a lot of catching up, just because 5-0 can haunt you later on in the season.
It's kind of unfortunate that his first match in this format ever, me and him have never battled in this format, was against arguably the best team. Like, just not even taking last season into account, the best drafted team. And then he has to go back next week and this coming week and face the Pyroars too. So if he can pull out 1-on-1, it'll be like a big victory, a big moral victory. So, but yeah, he really needs a win next week, just because this differential. Like, even if it's a 1-0 win, a 1-0 win against the Pyroars is pretty big for him at this point.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all covered up. I'm really hoping that the Martial Thunder and Bouflance do pull out for a win, and just keep on building on what they have. They have a really good team. They prepared well, and so I just got to keep in mind what's your win condition, how to keep it around the longest, and don't force the play. Yeah, I think that's the most important part. I felt like he was really forcing some plays, and when you come to that, it's gonna bite you in the butt later on.
I think he swung for the fences and struck out. Like, like, he's a big advocate of not taking risks early, but that's what got him. It was a very early in the match, and he clicked Outrage when he could have easily just clicked Dragon Claw and seen could see what happened. Outrage is the move on any mon that you should wait until the late game to clean up, in my opinion. Like, I would never use a move like Outrage, like, in the first half of the match at least.
Or it's just simply first game nerves.
I'm saying he felt like he felt confident that the Outrage would kill anything, not anything that came in, but it would do enough damage that it could 2-shot or even 3-shot anything, and that wasn't the case.
Yeah. So I guess we can go into the next battle. Battle. Which one is that? That's going to be the California Crawdons versus the Tennessee Toxicroaks.
This one, I only saw bits and pieces because I was doing other things. I watched the full match, but I didn't sit and watch like I did the other two that we just talked about. But I want to make them. I was impressed with Glaceon, like how it was such a thorn in the side.
Yeah, I'm impressed with the Tennessee Toxicroaks because I did not imagine he'd bring in the Glaceon first game of the new season, and that whenever the Glaceon came in, it put on so much pressure, and it made the Pyros really scared, especially since he's going against the California Crawdons, which were a dominant team last season. And I do believe they did end up walking away with a win last season too, a pretty dominant win.
Yes, hold on.
Don't quote me on that.
I lost.
But if you guys don't know what the score was, it was a 2-0 in favor of Tennessee Toxicroaks, which is a huge win because, well, it's against a really tough opponent and getting those victories.
Did Lipard do anything? Like, I first off, I take some of what I said back about Sock. Some of what I said, but because Sock did get 2 kills, but I still disagree with the pick. But it did do well week 1. So, and I feel like this team could have used more speed. Like Ambipom could have. I feel pretty confident could have helped him a lot with that Glaceon.
Because the number one thing I didn't really like about the Like, I have a really, really big pet peeve that the California Crowns brought. I don't know if he did it on purpose, just because I don't think the Tennessee Toxic Oaks really have a strong presence in flying or fighting. But his whole team was weak to flying and fighting.
Oh.
And it was Tyranitar weak to fighting, Superior weak to flying, Amoonguss weak to flying,
He didn't bring
Sock
Amoonguss.
weak to flying. Sock weak to flying.
Yeah.
Sorry, they're pretty much hand to hand. Liepard weak to fighting, Gourgeist weak to
Flying. Yeah, Jirachi was
flying,
the only one.
And that's a fire weakness.
Yeah,
so,
that's definitely not something you should do. That's why I think he could have, like, it may have been another fighting weakness, but I feel like Ambipom would have been another, like, reliable check for a mon like Glaceon, because as far as I know, Glaceon's not bulky. Like I said, I don't know much about Glaceon. I think if it is bulky, it's a defensive, special defense bulky. Let me check real quick so I don't sound completely stupid. Okay, it's very bulky actually with the 110 defense, but I think like a fake out and return could have done enough that Glaceon's not going to continue to, like, it would have just given him another check. Or, he could have brought Mega Manectric with Flamethrower. That might have been a little better. So I feel like he left himself open to Glaceon, and just like you said, fighting and flying types, because Superior and Gourgeist were both weak to Glaceon.
Glaceon had Shadow Ball too.
Jirachi was weak to it. Liepard's obviously not going to appreciate it. The only thing that Glaceon couldn't really mess with was Sock, but Sock isn't that bulky. So I think this one was more on team preparation versus like in-match play, because he didn't really have a pure answer to Glaceon.
Yeah, and there was one hack that happened in this battle, and that was the freeze on Tyranitar.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it sucks. It sucks a lot. But if it's just one turn, like, I know because their Tyranitar got taken down because he was frozen, but if it all comes down to one turn and you lost the battle in that one turn, that might be saying something about your team, that you did not prepare well enough.
One long going down causes
avoid
you to lose the match because you don't have a second check. Now, if you had lost it and then lost another mon, then that's you got the crap end of the stick there. But you only had one check to Glaceon, and it got frozen, which sucks. It's still hacks. Hacks is hacks. But it's like 50-50 between that. It's a big deal that sucks and it's out of your hands. And the other side of that coin is you should have had something else in the back to cover that. Like this week, I had 2 answers to all 11 mons. It's surprisingly not as hard as you think it is. Like it was difficult, don't get me wrong, but I thought I was gonna be like slaving over movesets and stuff. But like he might have had 3-4 answers for that mon, but it was obviously on mons that were gonna be weak to Glaceon. So yeah, I think this is more on the Crawdon's not packing like a fire type, reliable fire type move, or just another mon that could take on Glaceon reliably.
Yeah, so the California Crawdons have a lot to prove next week, regardless or in regards of team preparation, and I think just mental preparation after.
I don't
like after you get frozen, you get a bit salty and you start to.
I got salty in my match. We'll discuss that. I'll mention that where I got salty when we get there, but I think California's fine. I just think it was a bad week of preparation. He obviously did well last year, so it's not like he was awful at preparation or anything. I just think he had an off week when preparing, and it might have been he just didn't expect Glaceon to come, which is fair.
Yeah, well, that's fair.
I think we'll see a great match next week between him and the Markarth Magikarps.
Yeah. So we'll just move on to the next team, which is. I do believe that's the Carolina Pyroars versus the Minnesota Eon Twins.
This was I lost the page. Give me a second. This was a 3-0 in favor of Minnesota. And basically the gist of this match was the Pyroars could not break down Arcanine. Like that was like Arcanine picked up 3 kills and stayed on. I want to shout out to the people doing the advanced stat sheets. Those are fantastic, especially for us commentating here. They are freaking beautiful. I can see how many turns, and like I was saying, Arcanine was on the field for 12 turns out of 27 in that match. It attacked 7 times, one special status, healing, whatever move. Like I said, I couldn't watch this match either, but it picked up 3 KOs, and there wasn't much that the Pyroars could do because Arcanine didn't let them do anything.
Yeah, it was just pretty much the incredible thing is that Arcanine took whatever Hawlucha wanted to deal, and it didn't care. It's just like, all right, I'm gonna throw a sky attack at you. Psst. Arcanine did not care. It'll just eat it right up. Hawlucha threw some rocks at it, a stone edge. Arcanine's like, psst, you gotta start lifting, bro. And it was just pretty much trying to break down the Arcanine wall for the Carolina Pyroars. They could not do it. And
a big thing I think was losing him on in turn 7. Like that quick. And I know it's kind of hard, but Arcanine literally took out his Electivire, which isn't huge, but getting down 5-0 that soon, especially to a Mon that was designed, I guess, to be bulkier, isn't great. And so he lost a Mon. I'm trying to see here. Turn 7. And, oh no, he only lost him on turn 7. Okay, then it's kind of spread out. But he just... I think that's literally all that really needs to be said. He couldn't get through Arcanine. The team he brought was Hawlucha, Latios, Electivire, Swampert, and Frostless. And obviously you would think Swampert takes care of Arcanine, but he just couldn't get Swampert in when he needed to. Swampert ended up dying to a Psychic by himself. I think. I'm still trying. Yeah, Swampert ended up. No, it died. Yeah, it died to a Zelf Psychic. So, he tried. He desperately tried to take down the Arcanine, but it just didn't work.
Yeah, it was just trying to break down Arcanine and Empoleon, and he didn't have the firepower to really break down both Empoleon and Arcanine.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I was a bit surprised about Mr. Mime coming in.
Does the Eon Twins have? I'm not super surprised because Latios is his like go-to special attacker, and having an immunity to Draco would be pretty important.
Oh, okay, yeah, I can see that. But do you predict that Mr. Mime coming out more often? Coming out to play
when a dragon is a big part of their team. Like I think we'll see Mr. Mime against Markarth because of Dragonite, against the Thundering Bouffalants because Kyurem. Teams that have a big dragon presence, and by big I mean an important role on their team. Kyurem is the Martial Thundering Bouffalant's hugest hitter. It's not his only hitter, but it is his like DH, his 4-hole on baseball. Like that's David Ortiz for the Bouffalants. Dragonite is it's not as like huge of a hitter for them, but it is an important part of their core. And you'll see Mr. Mime in matches like that because Mr. Mime can still do a little bit to help out.
Yeah, just looking ahead of not looking at this battle in particular, but looking ahead of time. An interesting thing is, if Mr. Mime is going to be that, then most likely he's going to be coming up in the next 3 matches against the Martial Bouffalants, the Toronto Staraptors, and the Markarth Magikarps, because those are his next 3 matches. So
that is actually pretty big.
Like you said,
you have your Mega Bouffalants, like I said, have Kyurem, and yeah. So Mr. Mime might be getting 4 straight appearances.
He's going to be tired out. And this was a division matchup once again, a really important and a really big one. So whenever you can get a win in that division, it's going to be really nice. And the Minnesota Eon Twins do end up walking away with that W.
Now, I believe it's time for the match of the week.
Match of the week. Lord.
And I'll let you do the intro so it doesn't sound like conceited.
Oh, all right. So, match of the week this week is the Dallas Starmies versus the Kentucky Crowbats. Coaches are the Crump. Crump is coach of the Dallas Starmies, and Semeraro is coach of the Kentucky Crowbats. And this was a really cool match to watch, just because if you guys haven't watched it, they're on both on the YouTube channel. That's right, the YouTube. And this was a really good match. It could have gone either way. There was so many turns where one person could have taken momentum. There was so many turns where the Dallas Starmies could have taken momentum. Kentucky Crowbats could have taken momentum. And at the end, it was just Semeraro had to keep his Infernape, which it got 3 KOs and it did damage. But he didn't have an answer for Nidoking, which was scarfed. He didn't have it. He couldn't get the Infernape on the Magnezone, because whenever Magnezone was in, it just break down his wall so badly and put him in an awkward position where Musharna had to keep on Moonlighting, or else he had to switch out, sack off something. And that's a sort of...
There was a couple big moments in that match. The first big moment happened on like turn 4 or 5. He paralyzed me with the T-Wave from the Clefable, and I clicked U-turn to U-turn out and get momentum, but I got parried. So instead of being able to get a free switch in and force out whatever Mon came in, which ended up being Magnezone, so I could have brought in Infernape, I had to hard switch into Musharna, and it took a pretty big hit, not a huge hit, and so that cost me a lot of momentum and a minor misclick. It didn't cost me the match because obviously I did stuff before and after that could have won/lost. But I let my Mesprit take a huge unnecessary Volt switch from Magnezone when I meant to go into Musharna. I saw pink and I saw M, so I just clicked. I meant to send in Musharna. But the big moment that sealed up the match, well, there's two for the Dallas Starmies, who played an amazing game. There was Magnezone versus Infernape, and it's the turn I KO Magnezone, but I clicked Close Combat instead of Fire Blast. Don't know why I did that, but I did, and that essentially forced me to switch out. If I clicked Fire Blast, I could have still KO'd the Magnezone and lived the inevitable Sludge Wave that came from Nidoking. But that's not the biggest one. That would have been huge. But the big one was I should have sacked Infernape but not Mesprit. Because they both packed Grass Knot. My Mesprit was scarfed, so both of them would have KO'd the Gyarados. I could have switched out and got an Ice Beam off on Sigilyph, and then Crobat could have cleaned up the match on the Nido.
Yeah. It was kudos to Crump for predicting that switch into Crobat for getting the Thunder Wave. Sometimes you create your own luck, and that para was a result of his prediction.
Obviously in the match I was angry and frustrated, but I wasn't like, oh, that's BS. That was a good play by him to get that T-Wave off on my fastest Mon and to prevent me from getting momentum, because I could, getting that U-turn would have been huge, because either he stays in with that Magnezone and I cripple it and I still have Umbreon to wall Sigilyph, or he switches out and something takes another hit. But that T-Wave was huge because it kept me from getting the momentum I needed.
And this is going to seem like a weird thing, but kudos to Crump for keeping his composure on the very first turn. It is so easy to go downhill after losing, start of the season of the RBL. You want to start off on a good foot, and you send out your one of the strongest ones out there, Salamence, against a tiny Mesprit. And what do you know? Turn one, Ice Beam comes his way and gets KO'd. Very first turn. What a way to start off the season. What a way to start the season for the Kentucky Crowbats. I couldn't believe that.
I saw that, stared out. I was like, there's no way. There's no way. And I thought about it. I was like, all right, here's what's happening. He's either going to switch out and find out Mesprit has Ice Beam, or he's going to try and set up a D-Dance since he thinks he's faster than me, and I'll OHKO him, or he's going to hit me with, he's Scarf too, and he's going to hit me with something. So those are the three things that were laid out in front of me. I was like, you know what? It's worth it. It's 100% worth it. I clicked it. I outsped Ice Beam. Boom. Obviously, I don't think he even knew Mesprit packed Ice Beam, and I don't think he expected Scarf to Mesprit. But
yeah. So kudos for keeping the composure and way to start a season for yourself too.
The reason I lost the match just in general was I didn't plan for Scarfed Nidoking. So I did have a Scarf user, but it was going to outspeed me 10 out of 10 times. And while Mesprit could have taken any hit, Nidoking dished out. I actually, the misclick, I sent Mesprit in on Magnezone, but like regardless, Mesprit would have been locked into something else. Would have been locked into a Psyshock on the Nido or a nice like. So there are ways like because I would have had to sack something. You never know what would happen, but basically not having an answer to Scarf Nido cost me. And next time I don't care what he brings, I'm going to beat him down. No, I'm just kidding. But it was a division win for the Dallas Starmies, and that's big too. Because Tennessee won and they play next week.
Yeah.
So they're playing already for the division lead and like a pretty big matchup, because if Starmies can go out 2-0 picking up 2 division wins, that's going to be a problem for me and for for Flying Skull.
Yeah, well, whoever wins that match is going to have a really, really good headlock on that division, just because, well, like they're going to be getting the 2 W's. If Dallas Starmies win, that's 2 W's in the conference.
I think it's much bigger for the Starmies than it's the Toxicroaks. So it's still huge for the Toxicroaks, but it is massive for the Starmies because they could put a stranglehold on this division and not let it go if they win next week.
Yeah, and even for yourself, it's going to be a huge match next week. There we go. Against the San Francisco Graphics. I guess we can sort of move on to next week's battle because I feel like we covered
can
it
go
too,
over
right?
next week's matchups and do little predictions, I guess.
Yeah, and I guess the consequences of those. So I'm just going to start off how I see it as the Reddit Battle League. When you go onto the page, I'm just going to go down by down by down. So the first match is the Magikarp versus the California Crawdons. Both teams coming off of losses, and they've got some things to do. They got some work to do.
You said California, correct?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to give the nod to the Magikarps, because Crawdons literally have zero to Registeel. There's not, like, the best answer is Tyranitar with EQ or Manectric with Flamethrower or Fire Blast, whatever. So I think Registeel is going to play a huge part in that game. It can wall Amoonguss and Tentacruel. It can wall the grass types too. It's just going to be I think Registeel is going to be huge and be the reason why the Magikarps end up defeating the Crawdons next week. And like I'm going to say it's about a 2-0, a 3-0.
I'm gonna say the Magikarps, if they prepare and plan for it, they have Swellow, they have Chandelure, they've got Dragonite, and the Registeel too, which hit a lot of the California Crawdons team. So I'm gonna guess a 3-0 victory in favor of the Magikarp Magikarps. I know they'll get a +1. So I'm not sure if the California Crawdons can play a lot better than week 1.
Right now, my prediction is not based on play because it's only been 1 week, but it's just the matchup of the team. I think it's just the Crawdons literally don't have an answer, a true answer, like a stab answer to Registeel except for Sock, and Registeel's not going to sit there on Sock. It's not going to happen. If it does, then yes, Crawdons win. If Sock can, if he leaves Registeel in to take 2 close combats from Sock, then yes. I think the Crawdons will win if they get rid of Registeel early. I don't think that'll happen, and I think the Crawdons are in trouble just from a team building aspect because they're going to have to tailor a lot of their team building to work around Registeel.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting match for sure. And That is a division matchup too, correct?
No. Wait. Yes, it is. Sorry,
No?
yes.
Yeah, there we go.
I saw Minnesota at the top of my screen. I was like, Minnesota's not in their division. And while I wasn't wrong, it was just not pertinent information.
Yeah. So that's going to be a really huge match because they got to catch up to the Jewish Giraffe. And hopefully they can get some help from yourself.
Yes. I will do my best.
So the next matchup is the Tennessee Toxicroaks versus the Dallas Starmies.
This is a tough one to pick. I'm gonna have to look at the team matchups real quick, just glance at them. Both of them are packing dark types as their megas, but the edge kind of goes to Gyarados because of the rock versus water. Garchomp could be pretty big. And if there is a week we're going to see Sneasel, it's this week. If he doesn't bring Sneasel, then he's in Toxicroaks being Garchomp. It could be an issue. He does have things that can hurt Garchomp, like Salamence and stuff, but there's also the thing that how, like, can Garchomp kill your Salamence, or Salamence can kill Garchomp, and Nidoking doesn't appreciate a Garchomp. He also has Clefable, so that's good, but Garchomp puts in some work. It's very evenly matched. There's a lot of things that check one side and the other, but looking at it, I think I like the Starmies with a 1-0.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to be really close. I'm gonna have to go with the Dallas Starmies 1-0 just because this is way too close of a match.
I just look at it, and a big thing for me is Gardevoir on his side. It's the poison fairies for each side. Nidoking, Clefable versus Venusaur and Gardevoir. It's not the end all be all, but I favor the Nidoking Clefable duo over the Venusaur Gardevoir, and I think. Go ahead.
To me, I just see the Clefable and Hopoudon versus like the Glaceon and the.
Yeah, I think a big issue is going to be his lack of power. When his best answer for Clefable is Tauros with an Iron Head, a Sheer Force Iron Head Tauros, which that's not a bad option because he can also get a Rock Slide for the Salamence. He can get Zen Headbutt for the Nidoking. Tauros gives him a lot of versatility, but it's still a Tauros. And while it has high attack and good speed and sheer force, it's not going to be it's a good coverage mon, but it shouldn't be your check to so many things on its own.
Yeah, so I think this is going to be like a punch for punch battle.
Tauros talk kind of turned me one way.
I know. I'm just sort of interested. I just want to see these teams just go punch for punch.
The Toxicroaks win by half a mon. I don't know. I'm gonna stick with Starmies by 1, but I think the Toxicroaks it's like 50.5% versus 49.5%. So
pretty much. And whoever gets this win will actually have the number 1 spot
in the Black Division.
Yeah, which is an early lead, but
if the Starmies
pretty nice.
Win, it's much bigger than just an early lead because he's 2-0 in the division already. He's 2-0 overall. The Toxicroaks could be 1-1. I could be 0-2 or 1-1, depends. But he would have the early edge as far as numbers go, tiebreakers go, because he would already be comfortable in the driver's seat.
Yeah, this pretty much puts him in the driver's seat if he does get the W. So some early season pressure right now. Woo. Next matchup is the Carolina Pyros versus the Marshall Thundering Bouffalons.
Yes,
there we go.
And hold on. Okay.
Both of these teams did lose their week 1 battle too.
It's close for me. But I think I gotta give it to the Pyros because of one matchup. Mega Scizor utterly destroys Kyurem. I'm pretty sure 1 bullet punch from Mega Scizor OHKOs Kyurem. So that to me is the tipping point of the match, just my prediction. I think it'll be a 2-0 in the Pyros' favor. Did we even see Mega Scizor week 1 from the Pyros? We didn't. Wow.
No, we didn't.
I know the matchup wasn't fantastic for him, like as far as bringing Mega Scizor, but I feel like you need to. Like, Mega Scizor is one of those mons that you should include almost every week just because of all the different things it can do. It can be a defensive wall, like not a true defensive wall, but with Roost. And it's like, you know, stuff like that. It can defog. It can be just pure offense. It can be Swords Dance. I think Scizor's a mon he needs to just think about bringing more, despite, like, yeah, the Arcanine's there, but, like, no matter what, you're going to have a fire type to be worried about and stuff like that. And like HP fire. So I feel like Mega Scizor would have helped him. But anyway, I think Mega Scizor is going to be the tipping point, and I'm going to give it to Pyroars a 1-0 or 2-0.
I'm going to actually give it to the Martial Thunder Bouflance just because he has a lot of answers to the Mega Scizor, Entei, Mismagus, Heatran, and I feel like that's enough pressure to really, really scare out Mega Scizor. And so I'm going to guess a 1-0 in favor of the Martial Thundering Bouflance. They're going to come off of their 5-0 loss and redeem themselves with a 1-0 victory over a very good Carolina Pyroars team.
The reason I kind of lean towards the Pyroars is also because Mega Glade versus Mega Scizor is in favor of Scizor. A Bug Bite will kill Glade unless it's bulked up once or is defensive invested, because that Technician is a deadly ability. But it's definitely up in the air, but I give the nod to the Pyroars by like 1 mon, like give or take.
Yeah, it's gonna be so many close battles so early in the season. It's gonna be really interesting.
Definitely.
The next battle is the Buttville Super Butterfrees versus the Bavarian Beedrills.
I'm going to, without like looking too into it, I want to give it to the Beedrills just because I think the Bouflants have a much better team than the Butterfrees, and they got 5-0'd. So, like, not looking into the matchups too, like the Mons too deep, I think I have to go with the Bavarian Beedrills, and I think it'll be a 5-0, 4-0, 5-0.
I think this might be the first 6-0. We haven't seen anything from the Buttville Super Butterfrees, but Alex Louis has the U-turners, which can always switch out, and his Mega Beedrill actually does a number on his team. It's faster than most of them. The only thing he needs
to watch out for, just real quick to input what you're about to say, is getting stuck with that Beedrill in on low punting, because it's not going to appreciate a fake out.
Yeah. Well, he's got other things for that, too.
You do not want to have to keep Beedrill on the low punting.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. That'd be horrible. But yeah, I think this might be like the first 6-0 or a 5-0 victory in favor of the
They have a chance
Beedrills.
to open up the overall lead in the whole league, not just their division, with this win.
Oh yeah, coming off of if they come off of 2 great wins, it's going to give the reigning champ some really big confidence. And if anything, this is one of those. I want to see the Buttville Super Butterfrees show up for the battle and see what they do, and if they can change our opinion on this.
I look at their team and I don't see enough bulk to do it. There's easy ways around their bulk. Their bulk is Togekiss and Dusclops, and there's easy ways around Dusclops' bulk. So I don't think this is the matchup they can pull off.
All right. The next battle is the Toronto Staraptors versus the Minnesota Eon Twins.
And we didn't get to see you in action last week, but looking at the teams, I really wish I could put you guys side by side. You have a great core. You have a fantastic core with Charizard, Sylveon, Ferrothor, and Conkeldurr. Now, not to say you bring it, but you have a fantastic core. I just totally lost where the Eon Twins roster is.
They have the Mega Venusaur, Arcanine, Epauleon, Hydreigon, Thundurus T, Crocodile.
So that Mega Venusaur and Arcanine raised some question marks for me against you. Because, Mega Venusaur, you don't really have a true check to it besides the Charizard X and the Meowstic, and Tornadus, I guess, too. And and you have a minor, not a huge issue, a minor issue. Like if you have your Ferrothorn and he brings an Arcanine, your best switch would be to obviously either the Politoed or a defensive Tornado. Like there, he puts some pressure on you just with switches. Looking at the teams, so not that it's like the end all be all, because there's definitely ways around it and it matters about team building and stuff. But I think just looking quickly at the matchups, I'm going to go with the Eon Twins because he also has Crocodile for your Charizard. So I think I'll go with the Eon Twins with a 2-0, 1-0, something like that.
I can't really say for my own team. However,
I also think
still haven't seen anything from myself, so
the
who
Snorlax
knows
is going to get a
to see
body slam KO on the Charizard. Calling it now.
just get bodied. Or the Snorlax.
Honestly, it's going to be close. Like, you could easily pick up a win as well. But I lean just looking at the Arcanine being a sword matchup versus your team, along with like adding Crocodile and stuff like that. I think it favors him just a little tiny bit.
Yeah. All right. Challenge accepted. Anywho, I don't know if I can talk about it.
I mean, you can do whatever the heck you want. It's your podcast.
Without giving too much away, I think it's going to be a close match. I felt like I gave too much away. Darn. Yeah, like I said, it's going to be a close match. I'm really looking forward to it just because it's a division battle. He got the first win. I've got 0 games under my belt. Especially since with the other couple battles happening around the league, it's going to be really interesting. Things that I'm looking at that really scare me is just his looking at his team as a whole. Even breaking it down early on, it was really hard just to see what he's going to bring, what he's planning, how to get around it, how to really just build that momentum. And I'm just gonna see how I can get around that and how I can hopefully walk away with a W and not. And if I do walk away with a lose, then how to not make that like a devastating loss. Because last season he did take the victory with a 3-0 or a 4-0, a 4-0. So I've got some revenge. And so we'll move on to the Kentucky Crowbats versus the San Francisco Giraffics. Coached by Semeraro and the Jewish Giraffe. I looking at this team, you actually match up pretty well against the San Francisco Giraffics. Just because you have speed control, that being the Thunderous, you have Blastoise that can deal some damage on different things like Darmanitan. I'm pretty sure he can take a hit from Darmanitan. And at the same time, it can deal some damage on something else. Let's see. Looking at your team once again. Where's your team? All the way up here. There we go. You've got Crowbats and you've got the Mamoswine. Now I feel like the Mamoswine will put in the finest work just because a lot of his team doesn't appreciate like a stab, Ice Shard, or Icicle Crash, or Earthquake. Infernape is gonna be not that I don't think Infernape might be that huge in this battle. If you can, I don't think Infernape will be that huge just because his team checks up Infernape pretty big. Looking at the Jewish Giraffe team, always just it's a weird team that's really good. Like you're looking at it and you're like, oh, this matches up with this. Wait a minute, he can switch that out, and that's going to be interesting. I think the interesting matchup is if he does bring the Rotom, is how you're going to wear down that Rotom and how you can really build momentum off of that, because Rotom has Will-O-Wisp, Volt Switch, and it does last a long time, even with just lefties. I have a plan
for the Rotom, but it was definitely hard to come up with said plan because Rotom does a good number on my team. Oh, it itself doesn't do a good number on my team, but it's hard for me to do stuff to him. So
Yeah, and like you gotta plan for the switches too, and try to build momentum off that, because the Celebi can wreck your team, and having natural cure is always, it does have natural
Yes.
cure, correct? Yeah, so that's gonna be somewhat of an issue, and just his team packs a lot of power. The Zoomerl, Darmanitan, Dragalge, Doublade, Rotom, W at some point, Mega Aerodactyl. A lot of his things hit really hard, so at the same time, you got to be well aware of when are you going to switch out and how much damage is my Pokemon going to take, and can I recover that damage? Because he makes you pay for every time you switch out, and that damage does add up. So I'm going to have to actually give it in favor of the San Francisco Draftrix a 2-0, just because of how much pressure he puts on switches.
You're like, that Rotom's a huge issue. Celebi can be, but the only mon I'm actually even somewhat worried about / intimidated by is the Rotom. I have stuff in check to deal with everything on this team, no matter what he brings, no matter what 6 mons he brings. I have 2 checks to everything. But Rotom is definitely the more challenging mon to prepare for, because it has one weakness, and that is the one type I kind of don't have on my team. So it presents an issue, but I'm confident no matter what combination mons I bring, I can at least keep it as close as my week 1 match, and I might go swing for the fences and go for that first turn KO.
Again, 2 weeks in a row.
I don't think I have a mon. Unless, well, obviously, any mon can, like, OHKO in the ideal situation. Like, I'm not even going to say anything, but it's pretty, there's one obvious situation I could get an OHKO. But with that said, I'm not going to OHKO my opponent's mon first turn 2 weeks in a row. But I am going to do as much damage as I possibly can. As far as, like, for the long term. I'm not saying I turn 1 Water Pledge or something, but I'm saying, like, if I get those Stealth Rocks up and he tries doing like the U-turn with Darm or something, Volt turn with Darm and Rotom, if I can get a T-Wave off when he switches into something somewhat speedy and it gets T-Waved, stuff like that. Like, I'm going to make sure my first turn counts for the long haul.
Yeah, it's a really good match, and I'm going to be looking forward to it. I'm going to be looking forward to all of these matches next week. If you guys have anything that you guys want to say, you can leave it in the comments down below. Make your predictions for week 2, and feel free to do that. I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, also remember to check out the B-League podcast. I don't know if it has been uploaded when this is uploaded or anything like that, but they will be covering everything that is B-League. So that's why you're not going to hear, if something crazy happens in the B-League, like one mon survives on 1 HP in a clutch match, and it's a 1-0 win with 1 HP, I think we're going to mention it. But for the most part, all things B-League will be there and on the WordPress along with this. Again, go ahead. I just want to give a shout out to, I think it's Dragonite Spam and one other person that I can't remember, but they're in the B-League. Those stat sheets are fantastic. And I will help you as much as I can by, if you want me recording my matches as it goes, on the sheet, I can do that. But I mean, it sucks. I can't volunteer much more than that, but I can do that if you want me to. So I'll message you. I'll get in touch with you after we're done recording this video, and I'll talk to you about that.
I forgot what I was going to say. Shoutouts to Tothro for making the WordPress once again, and Dragonite Spam for making those spreadsheets. They're really nice. They're really interesting to look at, and just want to give some shoutouts just because people are looking at them, including myself, Semeraro. We're all looking at it, and it's really cool to see, and it helps a lot on the podcast like this just because it gives us a lot of information without looking into the battles themselves. And so if you guys haven't already checked out the podcast for the RBL League B, I would suggest checking that. It might be in the description down below if it's uploaded. If you guys want any other links, check in the description down below. It should be all there, and you guys can see all of that info right down there.
Yes.
So I feel like we've covered everything in League
Yes,
One.
we have, sir.
Yes, sir. So we can get ourselves going and move on to week 3, or finish off week 2 and see how that works out. So
Yes.
this is Cap signing off,
Bye.
and Semeraro.